Okay, let's get started. Hi, my name is Natalie Ross, and I am the Senior Director of Alumni Events and Programs at the University of Maryland Alumni Association. I am glad you can join us today for Code and Play, an Introduction to Coding with Felipe De Padua. So glad to have you all here, and I will not delay us, but I do want to give a couple of notes about the session. One, please remain muted for the session. We'll do some Q&A towards the end if you have any questions. Additionally, you will receive the links that Felipe will use throughout the session via the chat, and we will also send it out after the event via email. So you will have the links there. There is also a short survey that you can take, a feedback survey. So we will also be including that link in the chat as well as the follow-up email. This session will run more as a tutorial and a demo. If you do have access to another device and you want to follow along, please do so. But without further ado, I'm going to turn it over.
All right, thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Felipe, and I am going to teach you today how to create some simple apps, no experience required. So before that, I'm just going to quickly introduce myself. So I'm a software engineer at the University of Maryland too. I work for the engineering department. I do some research, especially involving the Department of Transportation. So we develop softwares that are used to control our roads, our airports, ports, metros, and pretty much anything transportation wise. And I've been working as a software engineer for quite a few years now. And I'm also an alumni at UMD. I finished my master's there in software engineering as well. And I'm glad to give this lesson to you, and I hope you enjoy it. So I will get started by sharing my screen, and we'll start working on this app. Let me see. All right, feel free to let me know if you guys can see my screen, or anybody can give a thumbs up or something. So I can make sure you guys are seeing what I'm seeing. And I see on my phone here. So yeah, you guys should be able to see it. By the way, if you have any questions, feel free to keep it to the end. But if there's anything wrong, you don't see my screen or anything that is urgent, feel free to post it on the chat and I'll fix right away. So you won't be having any issues seeing my screen or not hearing me or anything like that. All right, so with that, let's get started. So this is what we're going to be using today to create our app. It's called Codular, and you can access it via this website called codular.io. And all you need to do is create an account, but you don't have to do this now. You're going to see all the step-by-step on how to create this app, which I'm going to go through, and you're going to have access to this at the end, as it was said before. So as you can see here, you have all these steps. So if you miss anything or if I go too fast, don't worry. You're gonna have the chance to see everything in detail here and do it yourself. And that's pretty important. So I'm gonna demo how to build this app, and you're not gonna be able to follow along, unfortunately, because we have a little bit of a limited time. But at the end, I really, really encourage you to open this link and go step by step and build it yourself. And you're gonna be able to show up on your phone and show off to your friends or anybody you want. All right. So again, you're gonna have access to this link to Codular lesson. And this is what we're gonna be doing today. So we're gonna create this very simple to-do app. You're gonna see that there are some limitations to it. Unfortunately, we're not gonna be able to create a very full-fledged app to post on, on the App Store and compete with any of the apps up there, because that takes a long time. But it's gonna be pretty close to it. You're gonna be able to use the app to select dates as a due date for your to-do. You're gonna be able to take pictures, use some sensors on your phone. So it's gonna be pretty cool. You're gonna be able to learn a lot of little commands and little features. And after this, you're gonna be able to use tons of other features that are available there that we're not gonna be able to see today, but once you know how to use some of them, it's gonna be pretty easy to use any other features out there. So that's what we're gonna be doing. So we're gonna create this to-do app, and as I said, we're gonna be using Codular. So what is Codular? So Codular is this cool platform that allows us to create apps by just dragging and dropping commands. So if you ever done any kind of coding with anything such as Scratch or anything like that, you're probably familiar with it. So let's go down to the website and see how it looks. So this is our website, and I'm gonna create an app here. And at this point, you're gonna be asked to create an account, but since I already have one, I'm gonna see all my projects here. So let's open this project. Let's create one actually. Let's create here Camp Diamondback app. You can call whatever you want. And it's gonna ask what type of Android we wanna ship this app to. By the way, this is gonna be available, unfortunately, only for Android. Unfortunately, we don't have solutions like that for iOS right now because of some intellectual properties and things like that. So unfortunately, Apple doesn't allow us to do things like that. So Android is an open source, which means its code is available for anybody to see. So that's why we have a solution to like that called Codular to build our apps for Android, but we don't have for iOS. All right, so that's our screen here for Codular. And there's a bunch of things going on here, but as you're gonna see a lot during this class, it's kind of easy to navigate through everything here. So at the beginning, of course, the most important thing that stands out here is this phone in the middle. So that's where you're gonna be seeing all the things that are happening on your app. So if I add a button and if I add a picture or anything, you're gonna be adding here and you're gonna see how it looks on the app. So we can also change any other devices here, like Microsoft Surface. But I really like this one because it fits well on the screen. Like the Microsoft Surface is really big and you can't see very well. So the Google Pixel one looks pretty good here. You can see things very clearly, and we're gonna drag and drop buttons, images, and a bunch of things in this app right here. All right, so then, as I said here on the left, that's where you have what's called your palette. So here you're gonna see a bunch of buttons, checkboxes, images there are really tons and tons of options, and we're going to see a bunch of those today. So we have media that we're going to use to add the option to take pictures with the camera of your phone. We have sensors we're going to use, accelerometer, and if you've never heard of it, don't worry, we're going to see how we're going to create a pretty cool feature to our app by deleting our pictures when we actually shake our phone. We use an accelerator for that. And actually one of the exercises we're going to see storage to how you can store those to-dos. So once you open the app again, you're going to be seeing all those to-do items again because it's saved in your phone. But we're going to create something very simple starting now. So as you see here, we have one screen for our app right now, and it's blank. There is nothing here. And as you can see, as if you click here, we only have one screen, but we're going to be able to add more screens later. But for now, we only have one screen on our app. So let's start then by, let's put a text, for example, on our app and say hello. So as you see, I simply drag this and drop anywhere here, and you're going to see whatever you dropped here. And on the right here, you can see that inside my screen, now I have this component called label1. And you can call this whatever you want. I can say maybe welcome, so it's easier to see later how you're going to see when we start coding how to find this component and how to manipulate this component, like changing the size of the font, changing the color, and things like that. And here you have the properties for that text. So kind of like if you want to customize this, so imagine this as almost as you see on top of your Word document or your any other tools that you use, and you can edit text or images. You have a bunch of properties here, like making the text bold, and you see it's bold now. We can make the font bigger. So pretty much all the properties related to this app is showing here. And I'm also going to make the width to be the full size here of the screen. So now it fits the whole width here. And I can make it center, and I think that's good enough. All right. So now we have a super simple app with only a text. But before we know to go to the code or anything else, let's just try to test this app. And you're not going to be able to see here, but if you click on the test and you either connect your phone, your Android phone via USB, or if you go to this website and download this Android app called Codular companion app. Let's see, right here, you can actually open up the app, and as soon as you do, I'm going to come back here and click connect to companion on the app. You can either take a picture of this code, QR code, or add this code manually. And as soon as you do, you're going to see exactly this screen on your phone, which is pretty cool. And then you can say, finally, you created your first app already in pretty much a few minutes. So, all right, so pretty cool. You're going to see on the steps here how you do this, how to connect your phone, and you're going to see at the end here, as this image shows here, as soon as you connect, you're going to see on your phone whatever you see on the screen, whatever you added to the screen. Okay, so let's start then by adding another screen here. So we have kind of like a first screen, a welcome screen, but we want to be able to change to a screen where we want to add the to-do items. So imagine, for example, this first screen here as being, your login page or just a welcome page. And maybe as soon as the user clicks get started, you go to another page. So let's go to the add to do page. And of course it's empty by now, but we can start dragging and dropping things here again. So I'm gonna add another text here, and I'm gonna change the text to add to do. And I can make it bigger, change colors, and etc. And oops, sorry, that was a checkbox, not a text. But to do that, you can actually click here and click delete, and we got rid of it. Now we have nothing on our screen again. So let's go there again. So let's go to interface, and it's actually called label, so it's only text. And we're gonna say add your to-do. Click here. Let's make it as wide as the whole screen. Make it bigger. And now let's try to add some text. So the user wants to add whatever they want to remember as a to-do list. So we're gonna use, for this, we're gonna use the text box, and we're gonna add right here. It's called text box. And I'm gonna make the whole width. And now let me try to show you how it looks. So I'm actually gonna try to show it because I think it looks a little strange that you don't see it. So I think it's easier to understand what is going on here if I show it to you. So you don't see my phone right now, but I am on my phone on this app, the Codular companion, and I'm gonna type the code. And as you can see, it's connecting to my phone. As soon as I do this, it's already connected. And you do not see my phone, but I'm gonna share it right now. So let me go here to this app here that I'm using. And I'm going to mirror my screen. And I'll go back to the app. And there we go. So there you see, actually, you guys can see, right? Because it's at the browser. So there you go. Cool. You have our first app. You can actually see it now, and all you can do, you see the text, and if I type on it, I can see my keyboard and type anything I want. Right now, not much being done, but it's pretty cool. We already added some text, and it only took us like 5 minutes to do everything. So let's keep adding some cool stuff here. So let's add another box. Oops, not a text box again. Let's delete. I meant a label, so you want to add a text here. And let's make it bigger. Let's say due date. And now we want to choose a date. So for this, we can use another component called date picker. And by the way, you see all of these components, and if you have no idea what they do, you always have this info button here on the side, and you can click on it, and it's going to tell you what it does. So it's a visible component that when it clicks, opens a dialog to allow the user to select a date. So let's see if that works. So I'll change the text there to, say, choose date. And now let's test it on our app. So you can see, you see the choose date button. And if I click on my app, you see the date, and I can choose any date, select OK, and done. Cool. But right now you see it's not showing anything right now. I selected my date, but where did that information go? So that's how we're going to get introduced to coding now and see how we can connect the dots now and create the functionality of this app behind what's going on the screen or under the hood. So you see this is called the design page. So we see whatever you see on your app, all your labels, buttons, date pickers, but we don't have any functionality underneath the hood to make any logic or anything. So for this, we're going to switch to another tab called blocks. So by the way, we have those three tabs here. We have designer, that's where we are the whole time up until now. And you have the assets here, which you can use images to use in your app. Maybe you want to put a logo or anything like that. So you can add it here. But what we're going to be doing, and we're going to be switching back and forth a lot, is between the designer page and the blocks page. So let's go to the blocks page and see where we can add our code. All right, so as you see, here we have all of our blocks, which is our codes that we can do. So I don't know how familiar you are with coding, but we're gonna go through all the simple steps. But if you've seen anything like that, you're like Scratch or anything like that, you're pretty familiar with this. So we have a bunch of instructions. That's what those commands are. They're instructions to a computer that is going to tell it to do something. So for example, let's start with our text box, for example. You, for example, can set the text box to a different background color if you want. You can change the width, the text, so whatever, it's written there, the size, or tons of other properties that we're not going to go through them today. But all of this, you can be manipulating this with this code under the hood. So what we're going to do for this, oops, this keeps saving automatically, so I have nothing here. So it's warning me, but that's fine. So as you can see here, we can find our components here. So that's why I told you to rename for something that is easy to remember, like label one is not very easy to remember what it is. So if you want to do this, or the checkbox or the date picker, you can come back here, click date picker, and let's say we can call this due date. And again, we switch back to the blocks panel, and now you see it's called due date. And you can see all the commands here. If you hover over it, you're going to see a little explanation what it is. But in a nutshell, we're going to start with our screen. So if you click here, we're going to grab this command that is called initialize. So this block pretty much says whenever this screen shows anything that goes underneath here or inside here is going to be executed. So let's say I want, let's say my label to change the text color. And I'm going to use the colors here to green, let's say. And I come back here. Oops, not here. If I come back to my app, you're going to see it changes the color to green. Cool. So that's one command, their first line of code. You just learn how to change the color of a text. Pretty simple example. So we want to do something more interesting than that for to do app. So I'm going to remove that, which you can just drag and drop here on your bin, your trash bin. And let's actually do something different. So as we said, we have our date, and as when we pick the date here, nothing happens. So let's try to grab that date, and as soon as we choose our date, we're going to show the date maybe on the side here. So let's try to do that. So I'm going to come back to the designer view, and I'm going to grab another label so we can put some text. Let's put underneath here maybe. Let's actually put on top here. But I want it to be side by side. So I have this command here called this block here called horizontal alignment. So all it does, it allows me to put things side by side like this. So I can put it inside and I can place like this. I'm going to make the whole width of the screen. And now I have the due date and this text, which we're going to leave empty for now. All right, so, and let's call this something that we can easily remember. So let's call this date display. Let's make this a little bigger, even though there's no text. All right, let's go back to the blocks page. And now I will add, I'll click on the due date first. And I'm gonna choose after date set. So we're not gonna need this initialize there for now. We're gonna use this a lot, but I don't need this for now. So as you see, this is called a conditional block. So as it says, the text says when the due date is selected or after date is set, which means after we select our date, we're gonna be doing something with that date. So let me go back here to, what was the name of it? Date display. Okay. And you can grab any of those here. We can change. So let's set the date display text to whatever the user inputs on the date. So how are we going to do this? So if you go to due date, you have this command here that says due date, and this is what's called a variable. And let's say for now, I only want to show the day selected. I don't want the month or the year, only the day. So let's try and see if that works. So as soon as I select a date, it should display the date, the day of that date in the text on the side there. So let me try to do this. So I'm going to select, and it should show 4. See, and there we go. So it shows 4 as the due date. So that's the day that we selected. Cool. So we're not going to go through the months and years. It's pretty easy. You can see the steps on how to do on the tutorial. But for now, I'll leave that as a task for you, since our time is a little bit short. So let's go next to add a picture to our to-do date, or to-do item. So let's go back to the designer view. So as I said, that's something that we do all the time, switching back between designer and blocks. And we're gonna go to media, and I'm gonna select a camera, and I'm gonna drop right here. And as you can see, I have the camera here, but I don't see on my screen. That's because camera is an invisible component. So you don't see the camera if it's not like a text that you see on the phone. But as long as it is here, you have it on this app. So if you come back to the blocks here, we're gonna be able to use the camera. So as you can see, there's not many commands. There's take picture, check if there's flash. We're not gonna do this. We're only gonna use these 2 commands, take picture, and then we're gonna use the, after the picture, you want to display the picture. So to take the picture, we want this to happen once, for example, we click on a button, right? So that's called what we call an event. So whenever a user clicks, or that event happens, the click event happens, we display the camera to take a picture. So let's go back there and let's add a button to our screen again. And there's a button, there's the first one here. Let's make the button background color, I don't know, maybe a purple. And let's say take picture. Let's make a big button here so the user can see. And it's called button 1. You can rename, let's say button picture, so it's easy to remember. And let's go back to our code and find that button and click on it. So just like for the date, we had that event that when you select a date, you're gonna do something. It's an event, as I just mentioned. We also want to use this as whenever the user click on that button, we want something to happen. So we want the event to trigger, which is to take a picture. So we're gonna snap the take a picture right inside of this. And let's go back to our app and see if it works. So I select take a picture, and I see my camera. I take a picture of my mouse here, and done. I took the picture. Cool. Now we know how to use the camera, but just like with the date, as soon as we take the picture, the picture just disappeared. Like it doesn't go anywhere. So it's part of us through our code to tell what to do with that picture. So we want to display that picture. So that's what we're going to be doing next. So for this, we are going to go to the image on their user interface. We're going to drop it here, and it's called image 1. And we're going to say, as soon as I take the picture, so we have this command after picture, we want to put that picture on that image placeholder. So as you can see, it has this image thing here, which you can rename if you want. But this is pretty much the name or the location of where the image is. And that's called a variable. So a variable is just a box or a place where you can store a text, a number, anything you want. So this is where our picture is going to be located. So we're going to use this to set as the image on our app. So we're going to select image, and it's pre-selected animation, but that's not what we want. You want to select picture, for example, here. And we're going to put the image here. Oops. And let's see if that works now. Go back to our app. Let's take a picture of my table. And now the image shows here. Cool. Now we're almost done with our to-do app. We have our text here. We have choose a date. We take a picture. Now all we need to do is save. But before we save and display a to-do list, as I said, since there are so many commands and we're not going to be able to see all of them, and I want you to be a little bit comfortable with those commands, I'm going to teach you how to use some of the sensors that you find on your phones or most of phones. So as you can see, you have location sensor, light sensor, fingerprint, which is found on most phones today. But all the others, all of them usually have it, like clock, location, things like that. So we're going to use accelerometer. So I'm not going to go through what an accelerometer is. You can ask your physics or science teacher, but pretty much it collects data about your phone position. If your phone is moving, if your phone is shaking, it is able to detect that, and you can use that information to do anything on your app. So we're going to use this, as I mentioned before, to allow us to delete the picture once we shake our phone. So we can add a new picture. Maybe we didn't like it, so instead of adding a delete button, we want to be cooler and allow you to delete by just shaking your phone. So just being a little bit fancy. So we have our component here. As you see, it's invisible, so we don't see on the screen, but it is here. So that's all we need. So let's try to do that then. Let's try to find on our code here. And here you have, again, all the commands related to it. But the one that we're going to be seeing today is the shaking event. So whenever your phone shakes, we want to do something with it. So in our case, you want to delete the picture. So to do this, I'm going to use the set image again, and I'm going to select the picture. And since I'm not going to place any image, I'm just going to put an empty text. So it's not going to show any image as soon as you shake it. So let me try to go back to my app and see if it works. I'm gonna take a picture, and it was added, and it's not gonna be seen, but if I shake my phone, it was deleted. Cool. All right, so now we can finally move on to the last step, which is to save this button, and we're gonna display this, and then our simple app will be done. So for this, let's go back to the designer screen. And as always, we're gonna find anything that we wanna add here. In this case, we're gonna add a button. And I'm gonna call it save. And I'm gonna make it large and try to keep the same color consistency here and try to put the same purple. And I actually want to do this. I want to place this button at the very bottom. So I'm gonna use actually this space here, and I'm gonna make it fill any remaining space here of the height. And then my button is dropping all the way to the bottom. Just one last thing here. Let's change this text here, this placeholder, to be something more useful. So let's say type here, and we should be done now. So we have our save button at the bottom. We can take a picture, choose a date, and etc. Now let's move to our first page. So we're not going to be saving this data. We're just going to be using some fake data from now, but the exercises that you're going to go through, you're going to be able to actually add the same thing that you type here for the date, for the to-do, and a picture, and use for your to-do list. But this is going to take a little bit of time, and for this reason, I left it as a homework for you, a little challenge. So what we want to do is, as soon as you click save, you want to see our whole list of to-dos. So you want to go to another screen. So we're going to create this screen. Let's see, let's call to-do list. And I usually do this way because you cannot usually put spaces on it. So you have to be one word. And we have our to-do list. It's empty screen, but let's come back here first to the to-do. And we want to go to the blocks. And I don't remember what the name is. So that's called button save. So it's easier to remember. And I'm going to call button save. Again, I want to do something when I click on this button, and I want to go to the other screen. I want to display the screen where I see all my to-do lists. So for this, we're going to go to the control here, and there is a command called open another screen. So what it does, pretty obvious, it's going to move us to the other screen. And you have to pass what is the name of the screen that you want to go to. And it's called to-do list. That's what we created. And by the way, you're going to see on the steps how to navigate between screens, how to add a menu button, so you can, on your app, switch between those screens pretty easily. And I'm gonna go now to the to-do list, which is empty, and just add a simple list picker. That's where we're gonna show our, oops, not this one, delete this. We're gonna go to layout, lists, and we're going to put here a view of the list. So there's this one that is a list, and there's this one that is only text. You can feel free to choose either. So that's where we're going to show our to-do list, but we're not doing anything yet. All we want to do is make sure that once we click on the save button here on the to-do page or screen, we want to be moved to this screen here. So let's see if it works. And go to my app. I'm going to click save. And yep, I'm on my to-do list. You can see here on top. But for now, we have an empty list, so that's why it's not showing anything. So let's add then some fake data there for now, just to display something. So let's go to the designer page. We have everything here, but it's empty. So let's actually add some data to it. So let's go to the list view. Again, we want to show once the app initializes, so once the screen loads, we want to show something. And we use this a lot. So we go to the screen component here, which is called to-do list. So when the screen initializes or the screen loads, I want to add to my list an image, a title, and a subtitle. So let's say an image. For now, I don't want anything. Or let's just try to put a color maybe. During the exercise, you're going to see how to attach that image that we took on the previous page. But for now, I'm not going to put any image there. In text, I'm going to place any text here. I'm going to right click to duplicate this. It's just a little feature to reuse a component or a block, I mean. And I'm going to call this, let's say, do the dishes. I guess your parents will be happy with this app. So let's say the due date is, let's say it's August 5th, so maybe tomorrow. And let's go back to our to-do page here and click save and see if our fake item in the to-do list is here. And yep, it is here. Cool. So last, before we finish, I just want to, add any pictures there to make it so that you can see how you would look like once you add your picture. So for now, I'm just going to add a image picker. Where is the image picker? I think it's under, oh yeah, it's under the media, of course, image picker. And again, it's a button. And so click or choose image. And that is going to choose an image that you already have on your phone. So what we can do is now go back to the code. And I'm going to right click on this and duplicate this code. You're going to see why. I'm going to go here and go as soon as we click on the image picker and we select an image, we're going to change the image here to the image here. So we're going to add another to do there that is the same thing to do or do dishes. Or maybe we can change here to say do laundry, anything, do homework. And now once we select the image, that one will have an image on it. So let's see. Let's try to reconnect. I think my phone lost connection here. I think it's my app that disconnected. Nope, let's see. Let me try to re-add this. All right. It's not working. So you're not going to be able to see my screen, but luckily we have the example here that we can see. So as soon as you type, pick your date, take a picture, and click save. Let's see if that one is going to the image. Nope. Yeah, it's gonna go right here. Select an image and it's gonna show right here. You do laundry, the due date, and we have the image that we selected. And for now, we only have one to do for this one. And there you have it. So that's our simple app. I think I'm not gonna show you how to do a menu bar, so you can actually add a menu. Let me actually jump to the solution here and show you a little bit of how it looks like. So you can add a menu that you're going to slide on the right, just like any app that you usually have. And as soon as you do, it's going to open the menu. So kind of like this, like this. So you see we have all of our different screens, and when you click on one of them, you see you can jump to the screen that you want. You can go to see the direct to-do list, or you can go to add a new to-do list, and etc. And that's pretty much it. So here again, I will show you the app, how it looks like. So let's wait here to come back. So it's a GIF here, so it keeps going over and over. See, you have the welcome to my app, the first screen. And then you can select any page and move to the page to add a to-do list. And then we're going to add a to-do list, pick a date, pick a picture. You can delete it by shaking the phone and re-add a new one. And as soon as you click save, you're going to be seeing that image, that to-do list in there. Right now it's just a fake list, but you're going to see on the solution on the exercises how to put a real item that you just fill out the information there. All right, cool. So we're done. So I hope that it wasn't too overwhelming. So we had a very short time to do this, and I placed all the steps. So it's really, really important for you to do this. That's how you're gonna learn it. If you just listen to me, probably by today, tomorrow, or next week, you're gonna forget everything. So that's how you're gonna learn. So I prepared everything for you to be able to do on your own. And you have some exercises and you have some tips. And I have the final project that you can open on Codular and run here, test and see on your Android phone or Android tablet. If you don't have one, ask anyone that has one. And if you have any questions, feel free to email our support to let us know. And that's it. And now I'm open for questions.
Thank you so much, Felipe. Thank you so much. So if you do have a question, go ahead and put your name in the chat and I will unmute your microphone. While we wait for questions, just wanted to ask, so it seems pretty intuitive. The blocks are all there. How long does it take to really get in a rhythm of putting together an app?
As you saw, it's pretty fast. We can create this whole to-do app that works pretty much like any to-do apps that you have out there in a matter of maybe 2 hours, and it's pretty amazing. And it's very intuitive, anybody can learn, and there's so many commands that you can do. But with time, once you become maybe a developer in the future, you might want a tool that allows you to have more flexibility. So instead of just using those blocks that were available to you, even though there's so many of them, there's so many things that you can do, in the future, there might be commands that is not available there that you want to use, but you don't want to be limited to Codular. So you're going to use a tool such as Android Studio from Google that allows you to create anything you want and have full control, but it's a little bit more, it's not as intuitive as this one. It's not hard, but it's not as drag and drop as this one. So, but yeah, it's incredible. Like 2 hours, you can create an app.
Awesome. Any questions? Okay, so as I stated before, we will provide you the links. This session was recorded, so you will have the opportunity, if you need to watch it again and see exactly how Felipe did the tutorial and put the app together, you will have the opportunity to rewatch it. Remember, we did drop the code in the chat, but we will be sending that out by email. I would like to remind everyone, if you go to the chat right now, you'll see the feedback link. So I just encourage you to go ahead and respond to that. And Felipe, correct me if I'm wrong, but if they fill that out, they have the opportunity to receive a discount code. Can you speak to that?
Yes, that's correct. So I'll quickly share my screen here, but if you go to the end of the link, you should see the give us our feedback link here. And as soon as you do, you're gonna see $50 off for the month. And also there's an interest list for online camps, kind of like this one that we're gonna be planning to be running soon. So if you wanna be on the wait list, we can email you soon. And yeah, so feel free to share this to anybody. So maybe you have a friend that you think would like this. They can pretty much do on their own too, so they don't have to be on this lesson or this session, the Zoom session. But hopefully by watching this, you probably have a much better idea on how to proceed right now compared to another person, but you can help them out, but they should be able to complete this without any help as well.
Great. Okay. Does anyone have any questions before we close out? Again, you will receive all these links in the follow-up email to this. And again, if you want to just go ahead and launch it from the chat, I encourage you to. So Felipe, thank you so much. Thank you so much for doing this. We really appreciate it. And I hope that everyone enjoyed this session. Again, you will be able to rewatch it in case you open up Codular and you want to remind yourself of the instructions received here today. Well, take care, everyone. Be safe out there. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.